Still join in.
Sure.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for taking some time out to meet with us virtually at Friday morning, rainy, snowy day, depending on where you are in New Jersey. My name is Dave Kunz, chairman of the Geospatial Forum, and I'd like to welcome everybody to our virtual meeting of the Geospatial Forum. So to start, I'd like to ask any of the executive committee members. Well, before I do that, if anyone wants to make an announcement or have anything to that they'd like to discuss, please let us know in the chat, and then we'll call on you, and then you can unmute your mic, and then you can go ahead and speak. So with that, I'd like to start with the executive committee members. Is there anyone executive committee members that would like to bring anything up regarding their constituency groups?
Yes, good morning.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Go ahead. Anne-Marie, go ahead.
Sorry. I have for the state constituency group. My name is Anne-Marie Falkowski. I work with the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection with the Bureau of GIS. I just have two quick announcements. The first is that NJGeoWeb has been migrated from its old platform to ArcGIS Online. It makes it faster, easier to use, and it allows our users to easily add their own data or data from other sources to the map. And the Bureau
to ArcGIS Online.
I'm sorry?
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Okay, sorry. We're going to be having some virtual training classes in the future. So when we have that all planned, we'll be announcing it and posting it to our webpage. I also wanted to provide an update about our open data. NJDEP currently has 232 data sets available for download, and we have 62 public-facing web mapping applications in ArcGIS Online. Our top 5 most popular for 2020, starting number 5, is the harmful algal bloom dashboard. 4, our land use screening tool. 3, our deer hunting location viewer. 2, NJ Trail Tracker, and our most popular is, of course, NJ GeoWeb. And that's all I have for state updates.
Morning, everyone. I'm Andy Rowan, State GIO. Couple of items from the Office of GIS. Actually, we may be hearing from the Elevation Task Force in a moment about the South Jersey LiDAR. I'm going to go ahead and scoop that a little bit. We're working on moving that up to the Amazon cloud so that it will be available to be downloaded. We're still not in the office, so we won't be doing any hard drives the way we used to for data exchange, but we're moving basically everything we have out into Amazon and making it available for download. In the case of the LiDAR and Imagery, since that's a lot of files, we're putting together an app, a map-based app that will allow you to find the files that you need and download them. There is also the capability of batch downloads. It's a little bit involved, so we're working on simplifying that and getting the instructions together for that. We are also going to be adding some new imagery layers to the web services. Once we get them processed, we're expecting receipt pretty soon of the 2019 NAPE imagery from Department of Agriculture. That's statewide midsummer 2019 imagery. We're also getting from them some 1980s imagery from the High Altitude Imagery Program. And from DEP, we're getting a limited coverage for basically the Tidelands area, the coastal area, from 1929, I believe, is the flight year. So we'll be processing those and getting them up into the WMS as soon as we can. We actually ran into a bit of a software licensing issue. Since we're not in the office, the software that we're using to process the imagery, you have to be sitting at the console to use it. So we got to work around that. And we're rolling out some changes to our cached base map, the color base map, adding some additional labeling and features to that coming in the near future, just to make that a little bit more of a rich background. I believe that's all I have. Again, one logistical item for the meeting. We've got about half a dozen people on the phone. If we start getting a lot of background noise, we may need to mute those people. Everybody else is muted already. If you're in through the app, you see a button to unmute yourself. If you're on the phone and you need to unmute, if we've muted you, that'll be *6. It's *6 to mute or unmute. And that's what I have.
All right, thanks, Andy. Anyone else from the executive committee? Okay, hearing none. The task force reports. Is there anyone from the Trails Task Force? No? Okay, the Geodetic Task Force. Edith, is there anything?
Yes, I'm trying to unmute myself.
You're good.
Help.
We can hear you.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
That's a little weird because my bar doesn't say that I'm unmuted, but whatever. The task force hasn't met recently. The National Geodetic Survey has announced that the release of the new NSRS is going to be delayed at least until 2024 to 2025, which has taken the wind out of our sails a bit. But we will make plans to do some of the things that we can do to prepare. They said the schedule is dependent on the completion of gravity work, and that's been delayed by government shutdowns, etc. And they have a lot of software development to do and a lot of data processing. However, they have said that the revised state plane coordinate system definitions will be released as soon as they're completed. So they'll be available for software vendors to start to incorporate into software, which will hopefully mean that everybody's ready to go once the new NSRS is actually released. Finally, the retirement of the U.S. survey foot is going to occur on schedule on December 31st, 2022. And NGS will continue to support conversions into and out of older systems that use it, but it will not be used in the state plane coordinate system for any state. So we've all got to pay attention to our units and make sure if we're using feet that we're very specific about what feet we're using. That's it from me.
All right, great. Thank you, Edith. Elevation Task Force.
Good morning, New Jersey. I want to thank Andy for elevating LiDAR to its proper position as the headline portion of his talk. We did receive the South Jersey LiDAR delivery in September, and we also held the Elevation Task Force meeting. And I'd like to ask Doug Schleifer to go over, if he would, the results of the survey that were taken in February, March, this past February, March, about some of the products that are LiDAR derived that we hope DEP will be moving forward and creating. Doug, do you have that information at hand?
I don't, but I'll try to remember as best I can. So the products that we were talking about were slopes, aspect, hill shading. Those are all derived from the DEMs. And we are trying to figure out how we're going to be able to develop that. We're going to be working with DEP. They're probably going to be the principal developers on those products and will be the principal data deliverers of those products. We'll post them on Engine at some point, or our open data site at some point. But I think it's going to take a while. We'll be working primarily with John Tyrowski on that. I think that's all for now. Oh, one of the other questions about how we're going to deliver the data is by geography. Whether we're going to do it on a county basis, whether we're going to do it on a statewide basis. And I think a lot of that has to do with the resolution that we'll be delivering the data in. Whether it's a 2-foot DM or a 10-foot DM, and corresponding slopes, aspect, hill shading. That's still in discussion right now.
As I recall, the 2-foot was at the top of the list.
Right. Oh, one other
terms of popularity.
product. Yeah, another product that is going to be developed that's solely by DEP are contours.
There you go.
So if you want any further information about those, we'll have to ask DEP about that.
Yeah, there's some research going on in that in terms of standards and specifications and the type of cost involved in generating contours on a statewide basis. But that's a longer term endeavor.
Right.
And I think that's all I have, unless John Tyrowski has. There is one item that we did have some issues with. There is some swath differences in elevations in some of the inland bays along the New Jersey coast. And I have yet to, but will shortly address that to some of the 3D elevation program standards folks to see if we can update the standard for enclosed waterways, that's my term, so that the swath widths of the water can be averaged to a single elevation instead of each swath having a different elevation, which sometimes conflicts with some of the land and elevation. So that's what we have. It is my pleasure to announce that New Jersey has a uniform QL2 LiDAR coverage for the entire state of New Jersey. Thank you.
Fantastic, Roger. Is anyone else have any other task force related announcements? All right, so now we'll open it up for open discussion and announcements to members of the forum. Does anyone have anything that they'd like to announce or discuss? Are there any Mac-Urissa announcements?
Yes, thanks, Dave. We are having our fall meeting on Tuesday, November 10th. Registration is open. You can go to our website, macurissa.org. It's going to be a webinar, online, virtual. And the topic is COVID-19 and GIS. So yeah, sign up. And it's free.
All right, great. Thank you. Any other announcements? All right, on to the next topic, elections. So everyone should be seeing my screen. We are into our election cycle. We have the five executive committee seats up for election. The terms are 2-year terms, so we have 5. There's 10 on 10, 11, 10 plus 1 on the board. So we do 5 every year. The following state, county, municipality, private sector, and education constituency seats are open. The eligibility and voting privileges are the same. in order to be eligible to run and or to vote and or to nominate, you need to have a minimum of 50% of the meeting attendance or be an active participant in a task force. The nominees will be nominated from within their constituency group by an individual who is qualified to nominate. And again, that falls back to the 50% of the meetings for the given year, and then also or participant in a active participant in a task force. Members, there are no self-nominations, so they have to come from someone else within the group. And all nominations will be submitted to Gary. Gary will be the election committee chair this cycle, and then the results will be announced on December 2nd meeting. Schedule. So the nomination period opens today, and it goes from today until the 11th of November. And again, nominations are made to Gary via email, and we'll put the email in our meeting minutes online. Gary will follow up with an email to everyone laying this information out again. The nomination period will close November 11th. If there are multiple nominations for an individual seat, there will be an election, and the election will begin online on November 18th. It'll close on the 25th, and then the results will be announced at the December 2nd meeting, our next meeting. So that's that for the elections. Now, if there are any questions along those lines, feel free to put any of that in the chat, and we can answer and address any of those questions towards the end of the meeting. Okay, next up is our presentation by David Kraiker from the U.S. Census Bureau. David?
I'm coming. Okay, here, can you see me?
We can see you.
Okay, let me put up my desktop here. And here we go. Get that up. Okay. Hold on, it's a little bit slow here.
Take your time.
Hold on. Still, it's there we go. Okay. Okay. Can you see the presentation? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. Yeah. So if you don't know me, my name is David Kraiker. I do work for the Census Bureau. I am not a decennial person. I'm actually here all the time. I'm sort of an outreach person, and I cover New Jersey and New York State. I come around and show people how to get our data, or lately it's all online. And so what I'm going to do today is actually introduce you to the concepts between the decennial census and American Community Survey. And then also we're going to go into data.census.gov and take a look at that and how you can get your data. So let me just start out. I always start out this way just so people understand. Census Bureau is actually kind of like a contractor. We contract to other federal agencies, and we go out and we knock on doors, or we visit doctors' offices or hospitals or town halls, all sorts of things, and we gather data for these other federal agencies, and then we deliver that raw data to them, and then they turn that into those statistics that they need, and they disseminate that the way they need to. If you look at the bottom here, though, we do have something called the American Community Survey. We consider that to be a survey that is our own, and that is something that I'm going to talk about in just a minute. But let me just go into the decennial census. I know that's on everybody's mind. Decennial census is something we're just finishing right now, putting it all together. But just so we understand, decennial census is a snapshot that we take every 10 years. We sort of peg it to April 1st if we can. Consider the official count of the population. In that census, we're asking, basic characteristics, not too much. We can't overburden the public. We don't have a lot of time. We have to account for every housing unit. So I know people are, calling me in the office and they're asking my response rate's only, 55%. And I have to say, well, that's, the response rate that's been done on the internet or mailed back, but we have to account for that other 45%. So we visit those housing units and we try to get that information as best we can. Decennial census this time around is the first time we've done it online on your phone. And it also, the decennial census is the only time we actually count homeless people. So that is done during one of these censuses. And all the other censuses are based on this. And what I mean by that is we have two other censuses. We have the American Community Survey, and it is pegged to this 10-year census. And then we also have what we call population estimates. And so every summer, if you've noticed, you see things in a newspaper about numbers that are being released to the public, and it's estimated that the population of this town or this city is such and such. That is something that we do. It's a mathematical equation, and we start at the 10-year census and we add and subtract every year going forward. The decennial census is the only census that we have block level data for. So you can get some hard numbers and some aggregated things down to a block level once that data is released. Okay, I anticipate that data won't be released until after March 2021. And often the data after a decennial comes out in dribs and drabs. It doesn't all come out bang on one day. It sort of comes out in iterations. So just be aware of that. The other thing about the decennial census is just intensely publicized, okay? And so these are fortunes that were in Chinese fortune cookies in New York State. So all sorts of things, all sorts of, I hate to use the word, but gimmicky, trying to get people to buy into participating in the census, making them aware. And then the other thing, we have a lot of temporary workers. Some of them are very temporary. They're only there maybe for a few months, and others are there for a few years. And maybe they will become permanent workers, but we are permanent employees, but we're never really certain. So something to keep in mind. However, we also have this thing called the American Community Survey. Okay, so that is different than the decennial. It is a moving picture. We do this every month of every year, and we even carry out this survey during the decennial. So there's some confusion out there. People are asking, I just did my 10 question census. Why am I now getting this long American Community Survey? So there's a bit of a sales pitch we have to give to them to get them to fill that out. But in general, people do understand. This is based on an impartial address selection. So we don't know who lives there, if anybody lives there. And it is, how can I say, a survey of not just people, but of housing units. And so if you can imagine a shore community in New Jersey where there are, maybe an address gets selected in for American Community Survey in March or something, and we go there to interview, and just all the homes are empty because people are not in those homes during that month. We still have to do what we call interviewing the unit. So there are a lot of questions about the housing unit, and if we determine nobody's living there, we may go to the town hall or the village hall and try to find out as much as we can about the housing unit itself. So that is something we do in American Community Survey. It is a sample count based on population thresholds, and I have another slide about that, and we will look at that in a minute. You can reply online. If you don't reply online, you get a paper form. If you don't send back the paper form, we come and visit you. American Community Survey, we have more time than a decennial census, and so some people believe the data that comes from that is a little bit better, just because we have 2 or 3 months to get this done, and we can come to your door and go through those mere 72 questions with you. Usually 48 questions are about people in the household, and the remaining questions are about the housing unit itself. And those would be the ones we would go to the village hall if there's nobody living there. We are looking for deep characteristics of people in the house, in the housing unit. Not everybody answers every question. We prefer that people answer all the questions, but if people answer almost all the questions and they skip 1 or 2 questions, we would accept this. The other thing that's very interesting about the American Community Survey, we do not really care too much about the person's name who's living there, as opposed to the decennial, which is sort of going into records that will be released to the public 72 years down the road, okay? But American Community Survey, we tend to destroy the names that are on the forms. They're only on there with a phone number in case we can't read something and we have to call somebody to clarify an answer. When we look at tables in our data portal, you'll see that tables begin with B or C or S or DP. DP means data profile, S means subject. It's a very specific data profile. On the right here means it is like the Walmart of tables. It has a lot of information in there, but nothing too specific about any one thing. So just so you have an idea that we have table IDs and you can use those. We do a lot of cross tabulation. So we may actually ask 2 questions, but we're getting a 3rd or 4th derivative from those 2 questions, depending on how they were answered. The other thing, American Community Survey is the data is released at a tract level. That is the lowest I'm not going to say it's the lowest geography, but it's the lowest geography that I feel has fidelity, we'll say, and that you can have faith in it having pretty good data. Some people go down to block group level. There is some data there, but there could be some dropout. There could be some higher margins of error. So what would you see? What are some of the items that you're going to see here in DP tables, data profile tables? These are the main topics. And you can get a little bit of information in these tables about each thing. But if you were to take something out of here, for example, on the left, we have marital status. You could actually take the heading and you could go looking for information on that. And you're going to get those subject tables and you're going to get much more information about that one topic. So that is something to keep in mind as well as we go through this. I go to a lot of universities and sociology classes and other statistical classes, and sometimes they're very interested in what the questions look like on the American Community Survey. So I do like to show this to people, and a lot of people are looking for ethnicity data. Keep in mind that we view Hispanic or Latino as an ethnicity and is separated out from race. So that is not part of the race thing. So you could have someone who is Hispanic, we'll say, and they may also be Chinese, okay? Maybe they're Cuban and they're also Chinese. So that is something to keep in mind. I also like to show these parts of the American Community Survey to draw attention to the fact that we don't have to always check off boxes. You can just write in what you want to write in. And we're going to try to fit that in to a grouping as we have it. We're collecting all sorts of information. It doesn't mean that we're always disseminating that information. In fact, we have tighter restraints on this about what kind of information we can disseminate. But we do collect it nevertheless, and we have it there in case maybe something's ever reversed. Or, for example, question number 13 here, if we ever see an uptick in an ethnic group that might be immigrating into the country And if a lot of people start filling that in, we may consider releasing that type of data to the public. So that is another reason we leave this flexibility here for answering. And then question 14, I just want to point out, I know it says it's one question, but please note there are 3 questions here. So I know I said ACS has 72 questions, but it is well above 72 questions. So at the end of these presentations, I always have somebody come up and that person will say, can you add another question onto your form for me? And I say, well, that's pretty much like an act of God to have that done, because it is pretty difficult to get a question put on this. A governmental agency has to have the need to know something to get an extra question on this form. So just so you know that. All right, let's look at data thresholds really quickly. When you're looking at data, or when we're looking at data in the portal today, we need to be cognizant that we sort of have 2 breakouts here. And these are my 2 main breakouts. We have some other minor ones, but I'm not going to go into those. We have 1-year data, and 1-year data comes out in September. And if you were to go looking for information about a state or a county or a large city, you would find that you could get that 1-year data. It's already there. 2019 data came out in September, so you can get data every year in September for example, New Jersey, or for example, maybe Middlesex County, New Jersey. Okay, so you can get that because both of those entities are over 65,000 people. But if you were looking for something under 65,000 people, for example, a township, you would have to actually pull the 5-year data. And what we mean by 5-year data is that the data was ingested or was collected, I'll say collected over 5 years, and then after the 5th year, we averaged it out and we released that data. We release that data every year in December. So sometimes we'll find that people are going and looking for the 2019 data right now for their township, and I'll have to say, well, you can't get that until December. So you just need to be cognizant of that. Also, you can pull your 5-year data every year. Okay, you just need to know that there are overlapping years of the averaging of the data. So that data, the 5-year data, is meant to be pretty, I don't know, I want to use the word robust, but pretty reputable down to 4,000 people. But under 4,000 people, if an area has under 4,000 people, you will still find the data, but the margins of error will start to go up, and you'll have some data, what I call data dropout, and that means not everybody answered every question in a smaller area. So 4,000 people is kind of the low end of the threshold to get reliable data. But hey, sometimes you're going to have an area where people are really patriotic and they've all filled up their ACS form, and you will get better data and lower margins of error. It just happens, so you have to sort of pay attention when you're looking at things. A little geography lesson. I'll give credit to Esri for this little schematic. This is what they drew, not me. But if we were to look over here on the right, we know this. We all have census blocks. They change a little bit after every decennial. So something for you to keep in mind. Next year you might have some new blocks in your township. The blocks nest within block groups. Okay, and basically what that means is the first digit of the block numbers are all the same. Okay, so 1 or 2 or 3. And then those nest within a tract, and then the tracts nest within the county, and the counties within the state. That said, I do want to say that there's kind of a little caveat for the northeastern states, and that's including New Jersey, that tracts tend to almost always nest within municipal government. Tracts have been around since the year 1910. That's when the first ones were developed in New York City. It didn't take off around the country till around 1940, 1950, and then even into the 1960s. But when they were developed back in those years, the northeastern states had these very permanent, what we call minor civil division, meaning a township boundary. And so these tracts nest pretty nice and tidy within the municipalities in New Jersey. So that's a little bonus we get for living in New Jersey. We don't get many other bonuses for living in New Jersey, but that one thing we do get. If you're looking for data in New Jersey or even New York or New England, it's over here on the lower left. I like to say the secret geography, as I like to call it. What people don't know is if you're looking for municipality, so you need to look for the wording county subdivision, and then you will get everything in New Jersey. You will get your townships and your villages and your cities and your towns and your boroughs. But if you go looking for the differences between place or minor civil division, you're going to have a little bit of a problem. So I urge people often to look for county subdivision when they're looking for data. And we'll, if I remember, we'll do that today as well. So this is just a little geographic hierarchy. And what does this mean? It just sort of means this is how the geographers at the Census Bureau view things and how they've set up things. And so if we notice this, we notice, for example, zip code tabulation area over here on the left on the top. That is sort of the way we've created zip codes, and they nest within the nation. And that is because some zip codes around the country cross state lines. And so we don't really have it parsed out by state. We just have a whole data set there by the nation. Okay, that said, we have such a high demand for zip codes within a state. I think that we are working on creating something, but to us, it's not a pure geography. That sounds a little strange, but it's kind of the way it is. And then let's just look sort of down here to the left where we see county subdivision, and that's like, so we'll just remember the wording county subdivision. That is within a county. So I like to say, if you're going to go looking for something like that in the portal today, the first thing you would do would be to go, you're going to start out at the nation level. You let it know the state. First, you're going to tell it what you want. Then you're going to say, I need the state, I need my county, and then you choose your county subdivision. Whatever you're doing, if you were looking for census tract, you're going to have to let it know. You start at the nation, you choose your state, your county, and then the census tract. And sort of that is, I put this in here because this is the way things are set up. If you were looking for a place, so that in the Census Bureau's eyes, that's anything that's not a township. So that means a borough, a town, a city, or village, or a census designated place. You would come right here to the state, and over here on the lower right, you'd find your place list, and you look through that, and it would be the list for the whole state. It is not broken out by county. So that's sort of the bad news about that, but the good news, sometimes people don't know what county they live in, believe it or not. So anyway, let me just move on. I just put this in here. I know we're all kind of in the GIS realm here. So I just like to point out for if you're ever looking at FIPS codes or geographic codes, census codes, you just need to know that the first two digits are the state, and it looks like this. And if you're looking for county, it would be your next three digits, and so they would look like this. Okay, this is Essex County, New Jersey. And by the way, county codes are only odd for whatever reason. There are no even codes for counties. If you were looking for a tract, you would get this. So you would get a 6-digit number, and this is actually tract 1. And so I tend to think of this as like dollars and change. Okay, and so the 2 digits on the right, that's sort of the change. And sometimes you'll see tract number 1.01 or 1.02, but in this case, it's just tract number 1. If you were looking for a minor civil division, you're going to get a 5-digit code like this. So if you look at this going across, we have the state, New Jersey, the county, Essex, and then whatever that minor civil, whichever township it is, it's going to have a 5-digit code. If you were looking for a place, it's a little bit different. Remember, I said places are within the whole state, and so you're going to get your state code, and then you're going to have to go looking for your 5-digit state code. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. I always like to put this in here. This is the anatomy of a table ID, and so it's just so you have an idea of what they look like. So if you're looking for different types of information, you need to know that, you know, the table is going to start with something. It's going to be a B or DPS or C. Sometimes we have things that start with a K. So different things like that. Your next two digits, it's sort of like a Dewey Decimal System, sort of peg it to a different realm that it's in. The next three digits, it's just a subset of that. And then if you see something on the end, a suffix, and there are 9 different suffixes that we have, it means it's dealing with one specific race. Okay, that, and I say that race as we define it at the Census Bureau, not as maybe a normal citizen may define race. Okay, so anyway, something to keep in mind when you look at the tables or you're pulling a table. And I always do like to tell people, if you find the perfect table for you and you know that that's what you want, you might want to write it down or memorize it, okay? Because it's just something that you're going to be looking for all the time, and it makes life a heck of a lot easier for you. I do want to say, though, put this little caveat in here, because of how things are structured at the Census Bureau, meaning the monies we have one year, or maybe we're going to try to protect certain things. Sometimes tables get pulled, or they're no longer in there at certain levels. They may no longer be there at the tract level, but they're there at a state level. So you need to just be aware of that a little bit. So when I go into the portal today, I'm going to sort of go, show you how to use it. But I like to tell people the secret of beginning when you get to this data portal is just go to advanced search. Okay, we do have a simple search. The simple search can work sometimes, but it can be very confusing. People, somebody's looking for Rome, New York, and it pulls it up, and unbeknownst to them, they got Rome, Georgia, or something like that. So the advanced search certainly gives you more control. When you start an advanced search and you put something in, it's going to start opening filter windows for you, and you are allowed to, you have more control over what you want. Okay, that's the best way I can say it. So if you need, I know we're recording this, I'm just putting this information up here really quickly at the end. So you have it. You are welcome, to contact me through this email if you have questions. But I also urge you to use the census.askdata@census.gov email. I'm slightly a little bit more specialized, pertaining to New Jersey and things of that sort. But if you have maybe a larger question about the rest of the country, or for some reason I'm on vacation, or you can send it to Census Ask Data if you want to do that, or you can just send it to both of us at the same time. So, okay, that said, let me put on my glasses so I can see. I am going to do this. I will stop sharing, and I am going to go back and reshare. Okay. And so here we go. Oh, before I go on, I'll just ask if anybody wants to, are there any questions? And I cannot see the chat. So if you're sending your questions in my chat, somebody else is going to have to read it to me, or somebody just speak up.
Mark DiLorenzo, I think, has a question.
Okay.
Mark, if you unmute, can you unmute yourself? Apparently he hit it by mistake. No problem. Trish Long has a question.
Hi, Dave. My question's about the ACS. When did it first come out?
ACS started in, I think it was 2004. Okay. So I think previously in FactFinder, I think you had some data going back to 2004. I think now, if we're looking in data.census.gov, which we were looking at today, I do not think that data is in there. I think it's only back to like 2010. Yeah. But
Yeah,
2012
I seem to remember that it was controversial at first, but sounds like it's pretty well accepted now. I didn't realize also that it was a monthly thing, so that was interesting.
Yeah, it's monthly. Also, I'll just elaborate here. So one of the things that's kind of interesting is ACS is we're not pegging it to a certain date. So it's not like the decennial census where people have to remember where they were on April 1st. ACS is where people, where they are over the 4 months where they've been, put into our sample. And we just say, where are you living most of the time during these 4 months? And so it is sort of a rolling survey. And in that case, in that respect, some people have better memories about where they are. They say, this is where I am now, so it is a survey that does that. So.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Dave, we have a couple more. Romero, do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
So this is regarding the American Community Survey.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm asking this question because I know that it's been also an issue with the census. So the question is, how is that you encourage and protect the identity of undocumented people? Because they will be more reluctant to answer the survey, and they usually are.
Yeah, well, you are correct. They are. They probably are reluctant to answer the survey. There are a lot of questions. The thing about the American Community Survey is that we often it's a continuous staff. So people are there all the time. They kind of know each other. They know who speaks the language of, if they get I don't know if you saw earlier on the slide presentation, we have a lot of documentation that we can go out there and give to people in their language. And so we do have people who speak those different languages, and we may send them out to sort of to talk them into doing the survey. And but we also have more time, so we can continuously go back, and we're not like under the gun to get it done as quickly as a decennial. So that's part of it too. The other thing, like I said, we actually do destroy the names of the people. We if they're doing the paper form or whatever, however we're doing it, it's sort of ripped off the form after the data's been entered. So the forms are there, and they're kept for, I think, like a couple years just for records, but they're kept without people's names. As far as I know, that was the tour that I got of the facility. So I think there's a protection there. However, I do want to point out that in the American Community Survey, we do ask people if they are a citizen. Okay, we don't ask, are you here illegally or not illegal? We just say, are you a citizen? And then we ask, if you are a citizen, is it because you were born here, or are you naturalized? And if you are naturalized, when were you what year were you naturalized? So we do ask that. That said, there are a lot of people living here who are not American citizens or here legally, so hey, that or they're going to be illegal someday. So but we do ask that. But remember, it's all aggregated, so we're never really getting anything down to block level. We're just aggregating it to like an area of 4,000 people, meaning the census tract. So if the ACS workers, they can take more time, the interviewers, that would be the answer to my question. They know the walk and the talk of the area, and so they can really get people to participate.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, Dave, looks like there's one more question that was in the chat. The user wants to know if the tool to do address search and find municipalities, school district, etc. is still available.
No. I can show you an alternate way, a site that is not a Census Bureau site, if you remind me at the end, and I can show everybody how to get that. The address tool was taken away; it's not in here, but there's another site you can go to use to do that, to do an address search. So, okay.
Great. That looks like that's all the questions for now.
Okay. All right. What I'm going to do is show you. This is actually its own website, kind of. It's up here. If you can see the URL, I'm not sure. It says.
No, the URL is not visible.
That's okay. Okay. So I know you can't see the URL, but what the URL says is data.census.gov, and if you went there, you would simply get this screen. Okay, and this is its own thing, and this is where you start looking for data. Okay, it is not really the census.gov site, it's the data.census.gov site, and there's no www before it. Okay, so if you come down here, you can certainly type something in here. So for example, we may say employment Rome, okay, or in Rome. And if sometimes I may say, just wait and see if anything happens, or in Rome, let's see if anything happens. Yeah. So we get these different things, and the mechanism tries to outguess you. So look, we get Rome in Georgia, or Rome, New York, or wherever we have things that sound like Rome, Jerome in Idaho, right? And you can select one of these, and I will show you what happens. You get some tables over here. So you have like not as much control over this, but some people certainly like to go this route, and they may come over here and they say, okay, here's a table that I need, and they click on it, and it opens a table for them, or it starts to open a table for them. Okay, and so that is one way you could go through things if you wanted to. But I'm going to actually show you more of an advanced search method. So if you need to go back to square one, you come up here to the upper left, and you click on the little logo, and it brings you right back here, and it clears everything out for you. So I tend to tell people to go to advanced search, and then you start to get the beginnings of your filtering if you need that. And I often like to tell people, if you're looking for data, especially we who are, in the geographic realm, I would tell you to go to year first and select your year. So I'm going to select 2018, actually, not 2019, because I know all the 2018 data is out there, but not the 2019 data yet. So once I do that, I can sort of do a couple different things. I can look for my topics, or I can select a geography if I want to. So, I'll select a geography, and I will come here. And so if we were to look for something like tracts or county, or the infamous county subdivision down here, I can click on that. And that is a way of getting all your municipalities. And then you have to let it know what your state is, and then what your county is. And so I'm going to select something in just middle of New Jersey, Middlesex, okay? All right, and so we can say all county subdivisions within Middlesex County. I just select it right there. And I don't know if you can see this at the bottom. It has what we call filtering chips. And so it's sort of letting you know what you've chosen as your filter. So we have these two things right here, right? And I can certainly come back again, and I can say what are my topics if I want to, or the survey. So if I go to survey, it's a little, I find it a little bit cumbersome. If you come to survey, it's going to say, okay, what do you want? You want 1 year data, or do you want ACS 5-year data? Do you want a data profile? Do you want detailed tables? So we could go that method if we know that we want data profiles, or we could go through the topics method if we wanted to do that. So I will actually go through a 5-year estimates data profile. I'll just click on that. It throws a chip down here. And so what I can do now is I come to the bottom right, and it says search, and I click on search. And it has found for that year the 4 data profile tables that are available to me. And so here they are right here. And I can come over here, and I'll say, well, let's just look at one of them. So what happens here, it's sort of you're still sort of in a browse mode, or a window shopping mode, right? And you have your 4 options over here, right? And so here's a table. I'm just going to say I'm window browsing, right? So I'm looking through this and say, I know up here it tells me it's FiveYear Data. I know up here it says it's a DPO5. And so here's a table, and if you've ever looked through it, you can see this. This is for every borough and town and township in that county. But it's sort of going through and giving me the basics of people, right? How many people, what ages, how are they broken out by ethnicity, basic ethnicity, right? And so we can go through like this, and race, and then Hispanic, because we view that as something different, and then people who are citizens, voting age. So it's down here. So that information is here. If that is not what you wanted, let's say you're still window shopping, right? You can come over here to the left, and you can come below, and notice it says DPO2 table, which is social characteristics, economic, DPO3, housing is down here. So let me just select something different. I'll say, okay, I want that one. And this sort of comes up in my window. Okay, and so here it is. It's a different table. It's sort of letting you look through it so you know, is that really what you want? So notice we have household type, types of household, relationships of people, the marital status, fertility, grandparents, school enrollment, okay, educational attainment. We have some information about veterans and disabilities down here. And by the way, if you see something here and it's all in capital letters, it means that that's somewhere over in that topics filter, and you're going to find tables that are much more robust than this, dealing with this one topic. Okay, so keep that in mind. Residence a year ago, place of birth, we have that U.S. citizenship status. So there it is right there. But really, we're not asking too much there, and it's all aggregated to sort of a large level. You can't really tell what's going on. Languages, so it goes on and on. Ancestry, computers, how do people use the internet? And so let's say this is the table that we really want. I can click up here on the right, hit customize table. It opens the table for me. Okay, and when it opens that table for me, I now can do things with that table. Okay, so I can actually sort of fool around with the table. If I want to do that, I can make it, the columns I can make wider. If I don't want to look at the margin of error, a lot of people don't want to know. They turn that off, and you no longer see that. You can turn it back on if you want to right here. You can also download it if you wanted to, and so you could do this, and you just download the whole table. I'm not going to download it. Another option you have is if you have an Excel spreadsheet open, you can just sort of highlight what you want like this. You can right click and you can copy it, and you can just paste it into your Excel spreadsheet. Especially that works, if there's just a few things there that you wanted. So that is something. If you're going to download, over here on the very right, I hope you can see this. It says columns. You can actually come in here and you can sort of say, well, I don't want this one, or I want this one. And you can sort of turn things on and off. You can close your columns, and you can download it. And that information should not be there. Whatever you turned off, it should not be there when you download it. Okay, the other thing you can do, if you're unsure about this, but you want to keep this, or you want to share it with somebody, I know you can't see this, but my URL up here at the top, you can click on it, you can right click, and you can copy the URL, and then you can paste it into something and send it to somebody. And then when they click on it, this table will open for them. Okay, or if you're doing it late at night, you put in a Gmail email, just put it there, and the next day in your draft, you open it, you click on it, it opens a table for you. You didn't have to download it or anything like that. It's still there. So that is a way to retrieve data. Now, there's a couple other things you can do here. We could certainly go here to this logo and start all over, but I sort of like to trick the system a little bit if I'm going back. So I say you're going to just click on tables right there, and you come back and you click on filters. So the two keywords, tables and filters, right? And so here we know that we have in our data, our filters 2018 all county subdivisions and ACS 5-year estimates data profile. But let's say we didn't want data profiles. We wanted something else. We want to look through the topics maybe. So here they are right here. We can look through that. And we can sort of, kind of look through there and see what is there. Or you can put a word in up here if you wanted to. So let's see if this works. It doesn't always work for me. There it is, disability. Don't hit enter. You just type it in and you click on it, and now you have disability information. And that information comes up over here on the left. And so here we see, sorry, let me just, on the upper right here, it says done. I'm going to just close that little window. It's driving me crazy. So we're window shopping again, right? So we put in our filters 2018 and disability. And so here we have a table for all those municipalities in Middlesex County. And so it's a kind of a robust table, and here it is. And you can look through that. If that's not quite what you wanted, you can keep going down the line over here on the left. You can click on other things and see if that's really what you wanted. So I'll just come over here to customize table again. I will open it. And so you can better see the table. You have it for every municipality. You can do whatever you want. And then we have a little, I'm going to tell you when they redesigned this website, the people who did it are not connoisseurs of geography or GIS. And so they didn't quite understand what we used to have. We had a lot of mapping capability that was supplied to us by Esri in the previous fact finder, but we do have a little bit here, but it isn't a lot. But you can come here to map, click on the map, and what it does, it selects the first variable in that table, and it tries to map the information. Okay, and it's doing it by oh, I forgot the over here on the left. I click on the little gear. It's natural breaks method, sort of a gray colored map. And you can, hey, if you want to do this before you import it into ARC or something, or QGIS, you can fool around with it here a little bit. It's not a lot, but notice it's just a total civilian. It's just telling you what it's mapping right here. If you click on this, you can read through the whole table, and you can say, what do I really want to map? And if you're going to do that, you need to look through that table and figure out what it is before you come here, because this is pretty messy. It's just the way that they've set it up, and anyway, I'll just click on something, total disability with ambulatory difficulty, the estimate. Okay, so I click on that, and let's see if it even comes up. Sometimes it comes up, sometimes it doesn't like it. Let me try something else. But see, these are estimates. Sometimes you need the percentage, and those DP tables have percentages. They work much better for mapping. Let's just make sure we don't have any percentages here. Yeah, these are estimates. It might not work too well. Well, here we go. So it will change something. If you feel you want to fool around with that, you certainly can. You can change it a little bit, quantile method, or I think we have another method down here that you can use, and the number of classes and the color. But you're all GIS professionals, so you might not want this. So that said, the other little option you have here, though, and you can use it different ways, is if we selected all the municipalities, right, in Middlesex County, but if you wanted to add to your data set visually, let's just say we wanted to add these two places right here. I think this is Linden. And I'll come here, I'll say select, and you can actually select it like this and say select and select. And so I've just added two places that are in another county to my data set. And so you can do that as well if you want to, and it will map it for you. It will figure it out, that one variable, and it will put that in here. So I'm going to do something here. I'm going to go back. So if you're always going back, you come back here to blah, 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 I believe table right there. And hopefully, sometimes yeah, here we go. Okay, so we're back to table. Once again, tables up here. And then we're coming back to filter. And so look, we have all these selections in here, and I'm going to actually get rid of my filters to show you another way to look for data. And I don't want to use up too much of my time. But anyway, 2018, okay, so sometimes I need something that is not really, like I do like to use census tracts, but maybe I need all the census tracts. I don't need them all within a county. I need a certain selection. So what I do is I come here and I say geography, and let's see if I can do this here. I need to come over here. So it's all right. I gotta go back to the beginning. Sorry about that. It sort of remembers what I have in this window, and it's giving me a hard time. So just click over here on the logo. Come back to advanced search. It's always good that you see this done over again, right? And we can come to geography. We can go to topics. I'll close the geography here. Hopefully, it's giving me a hard. There we go. Tract. And we're going to come down here, and I am looking for New Jersey. And I'm coming down here, and I'm looking for Essex County. And I could say all census tracts in Essex County, but let's just, I know my census tract, believe it or not. So I'm in census tract number 123. Oh, by the way, up here you have this little spyglass, so you can just put it in here. There it is. So I click on that and I say search. Okay. And before I go looking for data, I can actually say map. So I looked for one census tract that I kind of knew where it was. It doesn't have to be one that you know of. And it draws this map for me. And what you can do, so I don't know if you can see, there's a train line right here that comes north and south. So let's say you don't really care what town you're in, but you want all the tracks along that train line. You can come here and you can kind of say, oh, okay, I'm going to select. Okay, and so you may come here and you say, I need all these tracks right here. I need this tract right here. I need this tract right here. And I need these tracks right here. And so you could actually do that and add them to your selection. Actually, I think maybe, let's say, yeah, they should be there. Maybe I have to, okay. And so that is a way to do that. And you can come down here back to filter. And let's see, I'm going to, yeah. Table. Okay, and it will start adding them to your table. And so you have them here, and you can go looking for the data that you want to go window shopping over here on the left if you wanted to do that. So that is just another way to look for data if you wanted to do that. I sort of urge you to fool around with this, sir. We're always doing hot fixes on this, and things change. And they add and they try to improve it. Like every couple of months, there's what we call hot fix. And so this is sort of how you use the portal and how you look for data. But I'm going to show you one other thing. I'm going to come up here. I know you can't see my URL, but in Chrome, what I'm doing is I'm looking for something in census.gov, and I type in the words ACS, meaning American Community Survey, and it comes up. Okay, and so here it is, the American Community Survey. They have their own sort of piece of our real estate, right? And they have a place you can come here and you can look at different things. And so this is another way to look for data if you needed it. So you can come over here and you can sort of look for data. You can also look at methodology. And if you click on methodology, you can actually come down here and you can look at the questionnaire. If you want to look at the questions and see how it's changed over years or where something is derived from. I'm going to hit back up here. But the other thing I do want to show you is under data. So if you come to data and you scroll down, this is another way to look for things, okay? You can certainly go to the FTP site if you want to, but you can come here and you can look under subject tables if you want to do that, or data profile tables. And here are the subject tables. and they're all here, and I say I just want all of them displayed on the page. And you can go through them and you can see what these very specialized tables are. Okay, and so if you see something that you're interested in, so here we go, children characteristics, it tells you the subject table number, and you can click on it and it will instantly open it. Oh, that happens sometimes, sorry. For whatever reason, I think because I was fooling around with it, or it may no longer be available, but you can actually come through here, you can find a table. It should open it for you in data.census.gov back. Yeah, okay, it will normally, it will, okay, but I was fooling around with it before and it's pre-programmed. So it will open it for you at the national level, and then at the national, then you're going to have to drill down your geography. So this is just another way of going in there. So if we're looking up here over on the left, these are data tables, but we also have the data profiles. And so if you were to click on that, you can go here and you can get your 5-year, you can get it by place or county or state or nation. And just keep in mind that in New Jersey, we do not consider a township to be a place. But one thing I do want to show you too is this thing called narrative profiles. Okay, so this is not something you can pull into a GIS or anything like that, but you can certainly come here and you can say, okay, I am looking for something. So we looked at Census Tract 193 before, and I'm going to select a tract. I come back here and I say New Jersey. It asks me my county, Essex County, and we come down here all the way to the bottom almost, and tract 193, and we say get the narrative profile. And it is churning. Okay, it is retrieving data, and it's retrieving data in a verbal format. Okay, and so as we come down here, you're going to see that all these things are actually written out for you. Little charts if you need that. You have less control over this. You know, we are actually figuring this is probably what you want. A lot of people who do grant writing, they prefer to get the data this way. And I have a feeling that people who like to update Wikipedia like to get their data this way too. So that is something else. I'm just going to keep going down just so you see what is in here. Okay, so there's all sorts of things in here. You have this kind of little thing, groovy little thing in here that you can look at as well. So just another way to look for data if you want that. And I remember somebody had a question about looking for an address, and I'm going to answer that straight away before I forget. So there is something else that I know you can't, I don't think you, can you see my URL?
No, Dan, we can't, but I've been putting it in the chat.
Okay. So URL is URL that I'm typing is one word, and it's census reporter .org stroke and then the word locate. Okay, and when you do that, you get this thing called Census Reporter, and this is sort of it's an organization, and they try to draw out census data, and they try to make it kind of more manageable, especially for people who are reporters. Okay, so you can come in here and you can put in an address. So 101.
David, are you sharing a new screen? We don't see that.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah. Let me do that. All right, hold on a minute. All right, let me. Here we go. Okay. Can you see this? Census Reporter?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so when we get here, remember that the URL is one word, censusreporter.org stroke and LOCATE and it will bring you to this page. And so you can put in an address, or you can select it visually if you want to, but here I'll just put in 101 South Orange Avenue. It finds it for you on the map, and it gives you all this information over here. Okay, so if you needed to know what block group it's in, what tract it's in, whatever, you can get that over here. You could, conceivably, you can click on it as well, as far as I know, and it will give you some basic information, census report. It's something I use sometimes in tandem, if I need to get different kinds of answers. It's kind of a neat thing to look at. So that is something that you can use as well if you need to use that. I will show you one other thing. Certainly Census Reporter, still Census Reporter. I'm just going to the basic entrance page. It looks like this, right? But what I do find that's very useful down here at the bottom, there's some little videos that they have that are useful. But the thing that I really like that just helps me is this right here. If you ever need this, the table coding. And it explains that coding pretty well, and how the digits are separated out, and what the next things are in the grouping and things of that sort. So that is something that you can use as well if you need to get some answers. Here are those racial breakout groups, the suffixes, if you need those. It explains data profile, kind of what's in those things, a CP table, subject tables, and so they're listed in here as well. That said, Census Reporter is a little bit late. So they're probably 6 months later than when the Census Bureau starts releasing the data. So you might want to keep that in mind as well. So, all right, I will see if I can do this. Any other questions? Or anybody want me to do something here? And I will.
One sec, Dave. Let's see. Web?
Oh no, Web. You used up your quota already. Just kidding.
You want to unmute yourself? Web, do you have a question? You can unmute yourself to ask. Or you can put it in the chat. I don't see either. He's having a problem unmuting. Oh. All right. Okay, so Romero, I'm following your steps, but my map comes out blank. Romero, would you like to unmute yourself and explain that a little more?
Yes, I'm following all the steps that you have. I can see the table, all those kind of things. But when I go to map, the screen is just black. There's nothing. And I wait a little bit, and I even can see the symbology in the left column, but not the map. It's just black.
What are you using, Chrome or what?
Firefox.
Firefox. I don't really know. That could just be like a little glitch that's happening right now, or happening on your machine. I'm thinking that if you come back, 10 minutes from now or half an hour, it'll work. But that I've never encountered that before.
Nothing to do with your server?
Oh, it could. Yeah, they could be putting something up today. Yeah, no, it could be our server. Fridays are always a tough day at Census Bureau. Usually Friday afternoon. Sometimes they're doing like little fixes to it and things like that. So it could be the server for a little while. Can you show your screen with us?
Can I?
You should be able to, yeah.
Yeah, you're going to come down to the bottom. There's a little box with an up arrow.
Okay.
Yeah. And then it shows you something that says screen share desktop window. You click on that,
Uh-huh.
And then it's going to say, are you showing something like a Firefox tab? Or I think you're good. I think we can see what you're looking at.
Can you?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is it. I can see legend here, but there is nothing.
Yeah, census tract selection. Oh, you're selecting census tract. Did you select one tract? Oh, you were trying to select one tract. Did you already select one tract?
Yes, I selected yours.
Okay. I don't have an answer for you, Romero.
Okay.
I
Oh,
don't know what's going on. I think you're gonna come back later and give it a shot.
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind. Thank you.
Yeah, you want to stop sharing. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Dave. So do you know how if others are experiencing issues with the application, do you know who they can reach out to look for some help?
Yeah. So usually in the lower left corner, let me see if I can get my Chrome tab up here. Hold on.
Right. And then it looks like Webb had the same question. He had the same problem. He was doing it in Internet Explorer, but it locked up. What browser?
It must have something, yeah, there must be something going on today.
Are there?
Yeah, let me just do this though. Let me go back. You can see my screen, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, it's okay. So coming down here, go to data.census.gov. I'm suspecting they're doing a hot fix today. But anyway, if you can see the screen down here at the lower left, it says send feedback. And it says SEDSI feedback at census.gov. That's the place where you want to click on that or get that email and send them information. And the reason I say that, it sounds futile to you, right? But they do report to us every week. They say we had so many questions about this and so many questions about that, and then whatever sort of floats to the top is what they're going to start trying to work on it. Okay, so it will give them some information. So I don't know. Let me just try that really quick as you're talking. Any other questions? Tract.
I don't see any other questions.
Let me just try that. What Romero was doing before. Okay, so we had Jersey. And I'm in Essex County right here. And I'll just take any tract 101. And there it is. It's searching, right? And I go up here and let's see. Yeah, so it should be there. And I need to go to my map. And so I'm going to say search. Oh, I said search, and then I click on maps, and let's see what happens. Maybe I'll get the black screen. No. It did work for me. But it could be a server. It could be something. It could be our server not liking Firefox today. I'm actually in Chrome. It could be all sorts of things. But I kind of say just come back and do it later on, or I hope what I just did looks like what you did, Romero, and that if you do that again, maybe you'll get to something. Okay. Any other questions?
I don't see any, Dave.
Okay.
Sorry, I tried Chrome and works with Chrome.
All right, there you
go. It works with Chrome. Okay. Well, I always like to say one day it works with Chrome and Firefox, and the next day it doesn't. It just depends on its mood or something. But I think in general, yeah, it will work. But there could be some glitches here and there. So, yeah.
All right, great.
Oh, Dave, I did want to say one other thing.
Sure, go ahead.
After the 2020 data is released and people are looking for information down to a block level, this is the place where they're going to do it. Okay, so they'll come on here and they'll program it and let the portal know. Because this portal isn't just ACS data, it's everything. Okay, so you'll come on, you'll make sure that you're letting the portal know you're looking for decennial data 2020, and then you can go looking for your block level data if you really want that. Okay, so that's what you can do.
Great, perfect, thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, David. Okay, so I will again open it up. We had a couple of people join throughout the meeting, throughout Dave's presentation. So if anyone has any open discussion or announcements that they would like to make known to the group, please let me know, whether it be raising your hand or through the chat. And while we're waiting for that to come in, I wanted to remind everyone that the nomination period is open, and then the results for the elections will be at our next meeting, which is on December 2nd. Let's see. Glenn has a question.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, great. Okay, I'll put it in the chat anyway. I just wanted to real quick mention that DVRPC has posted our spring 2020 mosaics of our spring 2020 aerial imagery on POSDA, and that includes 4 counties in southern New Jersey. So I'll just put it in the chat. Hopefully that link will come over. Doesn't look like it. Well, if you can't see the link in the chat, you can just go to POSDA and search under data provider DVRPC, and you'll see 2020. And it does say southeastern PA, but again, the New Jersey counties that we cover are also in there if you go to the downloads page. So don't let that dissuade you from looking for them. And they're JPEG 2000. And they're only 3-band. It's not 4-band imagery. These mosaics are based on near map imagery. We're now a near map customer, DVRPC. So we were able to get a public domain copy that's a downsampled, basically, copy. So it's 1-foot pixel resolution and not the 3-inch that they normally have for licensed, customers. But it's something to use, like in the interim until the state's imagery is available, which is about from the same time frame. So I just wanted to let everybody know.
Great, thank you.
Sure. Thanks.
Any other announcements, questions, comments for the group? Brian?
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Just a reminder, everybody, thanks for joining on Teams. We have been recording this, so we'll post it on the forum website if you want to share it with anybody who wasn't able to make the meeting today. Thanks.
Thank you. Great. So I think that's if no one else has any other comments or questions, I think that wraps it up for today. Again, I'd like to thank everyone for taking their time to come and meet with us, although virtually. I know we all probably would wish to be doing it in person, but the Teams version seemed to work. So that's great technology. All right, great. Again, thank you very much. Our next meeting will be on December 2nd and most likely be virtual. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Huh.
So for those of you still on the meeting, we know that you weren't paying attention because the meeting ended. I'm going to go ahead and end the Teams meeting, but thanks again, everybody. Have a good weekend.
All right. Talk to you later. Take care. Thank you.